You right?
You're clearing your throat a lot, and I was like, I think it's my turn. I don't want to miss out.
G'day, guys. Welcome back to another week of the NRL Supercoach Talk Draft Waiver Wire podcast. Simon here, back with Chris again to go through the options for week number 2. Chris, mate, how you going?
Oh, mate, sitting 2-0 in the league of record. Couldn't be happier, mate. How about you?
Oh yeah, it was a bit of a tough week. I'm not gonna lie, mate. I'm in the fetal position as we speak. Just
Yeah, poor bloody the Tupou and VJ Lalua owner guys you're listening to here. He was robbed of a victory with those two going down. So we'll just some nice messages for the lad if you can, just to cheer him up a little bit.
I need him. I really do need him. Anyway, let's move on. Thank God it's a bloody long season. And who am I to complain, mate? BJ's named, so bloody hell.
Yes.
How lucky is that?
Yes, indeed. Crazy. No, I thought when you saw him stretch it up, I thought you're looking at long term, and apparently you'll play. So happy days.
Oh, geez, mate. I'd almost rather him just have a couple of weeks off and just get back in 4 weeks, and that'd be great. Anyway, let's get into the waivers. We're going to do a little bit different tonight just because we're a bit short on time. We're going to go through just position by positions and talk about the guys that we think are probably relevant. We're not going to do any fullbacks just because that was one position that we sort of got to that didn't have much interest in. And also there's not too much in the halves either, but there's a couple of names that we might float around as potential claims at a pinch. So let's get into it. We'll start with the hookers. The 3 guys we've identified this week as potential claims are Jake Granville, Peter Wallace, and Cameron King. So what do you think? What do you think about those guys, mate? Those 3.
Well, just wanted to touch on Jake Granville again, mate, because we recommended him as an ad at last week with looking like he'd get another 80 minutes. And, yeah, duly delivered. And the guy is great when he gets his minutes. But as you'll note on the bench this week, we have Tamari Martin has moved to the bench with the return of Michael Morgan. So what do you think, mate? Like, I have to think that Martin will spell him, and this will be the first week we see Granville drop down to more like the 60-ish minute mark and probably not score as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree. That position has always been Hampton's role. Even if Martin does come on and play a bit of fullback, I would say that there's every chance that Hampton might push up into hooker to give him a spell. So I'd be very shocked to see Granville repeat his minutes from the weeks gone by. So he's a huge risk as a claim. But, geez, if you get it right, it could be anything.
Yeah, If Granville ends up playing 80 minutes, if his role's been changed, obviously the little wild card there is Cohen Hess being promoted to the starting side with Ethan Lowe on the bench. So you've now got like a really big minute second rower on the bench there to come in. So look, it's not certain Granville will go back to 60, but that's where our money's at right now.
Yeah, definitely. The other 2 guys I wouldn't be spending claims on. Just try and pick them up as a free agent. That's Peter Wallace and Cameron King. We've spoken about King last week. Peter Wallace is very much in the similar mould. He's just a toiler, gets through his tackles, and there's just not much upside with either of those 2. So they're free agents for mine. Moving on to the front rows, just a couple of guys here that we feel like we should mention just in case they have been left off. Or been dropped or just not picked up for whatever reason. The first one's really obvious. He'd be owned in probably 90% of the leagues. Nelson Asofa Solomona starts at the front row. He's been getting great point per minute. I think the big question for him, Chris, is do you think his minutes can be sustained enough for him to keep up his attacking upside?
Yeah, he's an interesting one, mate. Like, he's a must-own, as we've said pre-season. He's a must-own. If he get 8 to 12 minutes more, he'd be an every-week starter. I tend to think now he's carrying the load for that team more than what Jesse Bromwich seems to be in terms of that, real punchy attacking front row play. So he's the sort of guy I wouldn't hate to take a punt on now in waivers. I mean, I'm not probably burning a high-end claim, but I like what I've seen so far. And it only takes a little swing his way here to end up being an every week starter. So I'm actually on board.
Yeah, fair enough too, mate. The other guy is Matt Eisenhuth from the Tigers, who's been named to start at lock in place of Elijah Taylor, who's rumored to be up 2 to 4 weeks, just with a hamstring strain. Nothing serious, but enough to keep him out, even though it's only mild. So, I mean, Eisenhuth and Nass, who would you prefer and why?
Well, I think Nass is going to have the longer-term security in the role he has now. Eisenhuth, mate, you have to think he's just keeping that seat warm for Elijah when he comes back. What sort of minutes can you expect from Eisenhuth, mate, as playing lock?
Well, if you're an Eisenhuth owner, which I am, funnily enough, look, I'd be loving life if he happened to just fill that role. And that's what that role has been last 2 weeks. If you can go by what's happened in the past, Elijah Taylor's sort of gotten 66, 68-ish minutes. So pretty damn good minutes, only getting a slight spell. So, geez, if you're an Eisenhuth owner and you end up getting that out of him for the next couple of weeks, then you'd be laughing all the way to the bank for the next couple of weeks. Put him in your front row and you're getting good minutes there. So I think he's a good option. Moving down the list, we've got Aiden Tolman next, being named to start at lock also. Do you buy this as an increase in minutes, or do you think it's just something that they decided to just switch him in for Lalo around and just it might pan out to be maybe 5 more minutes at best? Do you think it's more than that or not?
I'm going to buy in, mate. I think there's a chance there that they, starting as poorly as they did, at the very least, he offers them that defensive glue to hopefully not leak as many points. And I think, mate, there's a shot at him getting more like a 60-minute role there, which it's interesting. Like, you look at that bench with New Brown on the bench to spell, obviously, Elisha. So Fualo, Elliott, and Asapelli, fine. Like, if he got 60 there, mate, I think that's pretty good for Aiden Tolman. He'll end up with 50 plus a sort of average, I'd imagine.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, as a group, you and I have never been a huge Aiden Tolman fan for Supercoach, and that was even when he was cranking out 80-minute games occasionally last year and the year before that. Do you really think 60 minutes of Aiden Tolman playing at lock is a bona fide claim, or do you feel like it's only a low-end claim, or what do you reckon?
I'm going to go low-end claim just because I think there's probably tackle upside going on there. So just sort of like we were just talking about Elijah Taylor, maybe a slightly less busy version of that with, a few more plotting extra runs. So I have to think he's worth a claim on the basis of what it could be. But as you said, mate, he's not someone that's going to, dramatically improve your fortunes of your side.
No, that's right. He isn't. He's just your meat and potatoes player, old Aiden Tolman. All right, mate, last two front rowers. Adam Fanua-Blake, we just want to touch on. We don't buy him to be a Supercoach player just yet. He just hasn't quite got the minutes yet and just doesn't quite have the upside you want. He did just score a try and still didn't score that amazingly. So he's someone that you should be fading this week. And the last one is actually a little bit interesting with the injury to Papali'i at the Warriors. And that's Pulu, Lavaha Pulu. What's your take on his potential there?
Yeah, I mean, it probably will be a short run in the side. And you've also got Ignatius Parsi sitting there on the bench this week for the first time after carving it up in the ISP. Pulu, I like him this week as a starter, mate, because as we know, edge back rowers for the Warriors typically get close to that 80 minutes. And against Canberra, mate, there's every chance of hitting some upside. So 1 week special with the potential maybe to eke out a couple depending on when Manners returns. I'm on board.
Yeah, look, he's a real speculative one, isn't he? Because he's going to be up against Papali this week.
Yeah.
That'll be a huge test for Pulu.
Yes.
He hasn't really had a huge work rate in the past. Just from watching a lot of Warriors the last couple of weeks, he carries the ball in that left arm and looks to have the potential to pop an inside offload if anyone was to travel up in the inside. There was a couple of times last week where Tuivasa-Sheck was probably he was probably a few steps back where he should have been to get that offload. He was just too busy, to be honest, making line breaks all over the place anyway. But if he had a bit more energy, I think there's a chance there where you could see him pop that inside ball to a Johnson, to an RTS, possibly to one of the wingers coming in field looking for a lazy forward here and there. So there's upside, attacking upside in Pulu, not much base upside, but if he gets 80 minutes, he doesn't have to have an amazing base PPM. So well worth a potential start if you're really struggling in the forwards.
Well, just want to add there too, mate. Like, you have to think the Warriors are a good crack at some points there as well, against a Raiders side that somehow has come up with Aiden Caesar and Sam Williams as their starting half combination. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, that's no good. What do you, just out of curiosity, when Mannering comes back, what do you think happens with the rotation at the Warriors? Like, is there any chance that Pulu's got long-term value or not?
I think there is, man. I think if he shines there with Papali'i's injury, there probably is a shot for him to come in there. So, like, Lingy Sau could hang in there as a bit of more of that solid option. But if you have to think if Pulu does show something, the only threat really is him, Ignatius probably coming in and taking that role. So, I said, mate, speculative pick. I'm on board.
Yeah, I do see it. I think there's good potential there as well. Onto the second row. Let's just get two names out of the way, just in case. They should be pretty much must-adds if they're out there. Number one, Ryan Madison, by far and away, has been killing it the last few weeks. Has been starting on the edge, so he's a must-have in his dual CTW 2RF.
And he will be, mate. Like, he's starting on an edge now. It looks like Orbo. I know Orbo had that horrible injury last week and everything, but is that his job to lose now?
Pretty well. The problem is that you just never know. You just never know with Trent Robinson. He has this fascination with Orbison because he is such a good clubman there. He just seems to find his way into 80-minute roles. So of course, if I had number one claim, I'd be spending it on him, but I wouldn't feel all in 100% because there is still that chance. He's not a slam dunk to stay there. There is still that slight risk, but I mean, you're not gonna worry too much about that. This is waivers. You're going to take these swings and hope you hit it out of the park. But
mate, he honestly strikes me as a guy like if you can do it on the sly, get a little chatter out there. If you're sitting high in the waiver claim this week, get a little chatter out there amongst your opponents and work out whether they were keen to grab him off waivers because he could be spend that early claim and look to move him on quickly. That would be my advice with Madison.
Yeah, I don't mind that. And the second guy is Cameron Murray. We mentioned him last week. Played really well, scored mid-60s. We don't really need to say too much about him, do we, mate?
No, mate. No, he's obviously he'd be my number one claim actually, mate, if he's out there. Hasn't quite played 80 minutes yet, but I still think that's likely where that role will go. Surely John Sutton's not long for a starting berth anyway. So, I think Cam Murray's your number one claim this week if he's still out there.
Yeah. Okay, so second row forwards. I mean, Jai Arrow was awesome on the weekend. Played 60-odd minutes.
Yeah. He was good, mate. He was real good.
He was very, very good. So I'd claim him over Tolman personally.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Obviously, depending if you need the front row or a second row eligible player, but Jai Arrow surely keeps the minutes going, even with the return of Jared Wallace. I mean, Latu's got to get benched surely out of those two.
Yeah, look, the only thing that would give me any sort of trepidation on Arrow's minutes is Cartwright playing in the halves last week. Because I could very easily see Cartwright going back to lock and playing 60 minutes, which was essentially what Arrow played last week.
Yeah.
That's the only concern with Arrow. He could be a potential sell high candidate for that reason. So, yeah, I think the fact that he plays front row in real life but is only available in second row is really counterproductive to what you want.
Yep.
So really good sell high candidate right now, because there's definitely people who are buying in. I actually quite like Jairo as a player, but for fantasy purposes, he is, decent sell high candidate as well, just because of what you could get potentially. And look, mate, the last two, Jason Bakuya, he's only a 1 week special, really. Luke Lewis is being named on an extended bench now, so he really has had his big week last week. So I feel like Bakuya, if you pick him up and starting now, there's probably a 45 score coming. And the last one's Curtis Sirenen, which I'll pass over to you. You've been known to delve into the Curtis Sirenen sweepstakes from time to time. Hit the jackpot last week. So would you claim him now or what?
It's one of those ones, mate, when the going's good, so Manly on the front foot, he's the sort of guy will hit his upside. So if you're lacking upside in 2RF, he's probably not the worst guy to have as your third. So if you've got, all the base stats sort of forwards and you need, your CTW is not quite all that good, I'd almost treat him as like a CTW that will probably once every 3 games hit you a 60 or a 70, but you're going to get your 30s in there as well. So just, treat it as such.
Yeah, definitely. All right. No halves really to talk about, no fullbacks. CTWs to finish off the show. Number 1, Jack Bird. He's almost back. You just got to go with the pedigree with Jack Bird there, even though he did look out of shape. He's just too good a player not to be claim worthy.
Yeah.
So have a look at Jack Bird. The other couple of guys are real speculative ones. You've got Sammy from the Titans. Has put together some pretty good scores the last 2 weeks, but job security is an issue with him, don't you think?
He is, mate. He's one I'm sure we'll see debated a lot about in Classic this week, is whether he's worth buying for that very reason. And I think for that reason in draft, I certainly don't think he's a good enough caliber to burn a claim on. But if he's out there and you can get him as a free agent, or you've got a very low waiver claim, with how bad CTW's been, I suppose he's a decent option.
Yeah. And the last 2 guys haven't played a game this year. One guy's never played an NRL game. Jesse Ramian for the Sharks playing centre, and Reese Robinson is back.
Rero
to 2010.
That's what I was pitching myself, mate. What's going on there? Look, speculative. We've heard a lot about Jesse. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Ramian,
yeah.
Ramian. Look, I kind of like him as a speculative claim, just to see how that goes, with obviously now Dugan officially fullback and Val Holmes on the wing. I think, look, as a free agent pickup, I think he's worth a crack. And Rero, I think the big question, mate, is he's a noted goal kicker from the past. Is he likely to take over from Lazy Latrell?
Well, that's going to be a huge question about Latrell, whether he keeps that goal kicking. I don't know too much about Rero kicking these days. He always felt like a bit of a part-timer even back when he did take all those kicks for the Raiders and Eels back in the day. I wouldn't be too concerned. I would be saying that Latrell will probably keep it, but I wouldn't be shocked if he lost it to him, but I don't know. My money's on Latrell. What do you reckon?
I agree. I think your best case scenario there is that Latrell, Rero plays this week, keeps his place in the side, and then say Latrell does have a dodgy run. I think even then, mate, there's a red hot chance that Takiaho would get it anyway. So I wouldn't be spending a claim on Reese Robinson myself. I suppose the only thing you could say is he's going to be on the end of a very potent back line that should be scoring points each week. So I guess, again, with how bad CTW is, he's probably not the worst guy to take a pot shot at.
Yeah, that's right. He's probably more of a matchup player.
Yeah.
Because even in his glory days, pace was never his thing.
No, he's not a hard worker. He try scorer, though. I mean, I'd be curious to see what sort of pace and finishing ability he'd have at this stage of his career, but obviously he was good enough to get a contract with a club like the Roosters. So, yeah, see how he goes.
All right. So let's finish it up by wrapping up the order of the claims. So we said Madison / Murray. right up there. Madison,
Yeah,
Murray too.
I think Jai Arrow's pretty high as well, mate, to be honest. Just for that reason that I think he will surely keep Latu out of the side and with his PPM of and 50+ minutes, I think he's a good get too.
Yeah, fair call. So I'll pass over to you then. You rank the rest after Madison and Murray. Rank Arrow, Nass, Tolman, and Eisenhuth.
All right, so Arrow definitely. I think Tolman versus Nass. I'd put Eisenhuth last of all those. For some reason I'm not wowed there, but I think you know more about him than I do. I'd have to still go Tolman over Nash just because I feel like Tolman has the chance of minutes that'll get him a better average than Nass over the long haul. But Nass, very close. If you want to go more of an upside play, I'm on board with Nass and then Eisenhuth.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. What about Jack Bird if you throw him in the mix?
I'd put Jack Bird more just behind Jai Arrow, again, because the CTW has been so bad this year. I think that'd be needs. I think a lot of people are needy at CTW, so I could understand burning pretty high claim on Bird this week.
Oh, mate. CTW, what a wasteland.
It's awful, mate. Like, I was lucky enough to draft Aitken, who's been an absolute savior for me. But like, apart from him, maybe I suppose Gagai as well. There's not many that are even remotely looking like they're going to do anything.
Dane Gagai.
Gagai had a good week one. He looked solid. I don't know. Like, that's all you need, mate. Well, look at these guys that can get 35+ are worth their weight in gold now. CTW, mate, no good.
Yeah, I suppose. Look, Gagai's at 61 and 47. I mean, it's good, but it's not like setting the world on fire, is it?
No, mate. That's where we're at though. Just trying to get 4 each week that won't sink your side is proving very difficult.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. That's just the way the CTW is. Hey, but anyway.
That's the thing, mate. Like, just like example there. I ran Uarte this week, thinking Manly might score a few points, but in a 54-0 thing, he only got like just under 30. So what can you do?
No, you just throw on a dart for tries. That's all you're doing. Like, for Christ's sake, I traded for Val Holmes this week, just because I literally am that desperate. Just anyone who's got try scoring potential, you've just got to roll them out there. It's just. Yeah. That's all you're chasing in the CTW at the moment. There's just no consistency.
Well, that's the thing there, mate. That's why when you said about Madison, being worth that claim, if he indeed does hang on to that spot, I mean, he rockets, in terms of CTW rankings, he rockets way up, like, I'd say borderline top 10.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's massive. Massive. Huge. Anyway. Well, mate, that'll do us for the show. Good gear. So, we'll be back next week again to go through the waivers. Good luck, guys. Make sure you hit us up on Twitter. It's probably the best place to go, or on the website, NRLSupercoachTalk.com. Just search for draft in the search menu, and you can contact us that way with any start sit questions or trade advice or anything like that. So thanks for listening, guys. I'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys and gals. Till next week. Cheers.
Bye.